Hello everyone, so today's video I'm going to show you how to replace this smoke detector to a new first alert hardwired smoke alarm. This one happens to be about 9 years old, happens to have 1 year left before being replaced, but figuring I had this one that was installed from September 6th of 2020, which was 5 years when I had the smoke detector, and was only 4 years old. Since the time I had it was from 2020, which was 5 years, and this one happens to be from 2016, which this one happens to be 9 years old currently with this older smoke detector I happen to have. And the reason is I'm replacing this one is that this one happens to go close to its end of life on its detection, and the smoke alarm is giving a fault code flash for a short red light blink. And I was wondering why this thing was flashing short, because I was figuring that I was testing this detector. The smoke detector still happens to function with the test button. You can see it functions when I push the test button. But from the previous point, the detector is new in inspecting all the smoke detectors, and I figured this detector was getting a red light that's suddenly blinking for a short period of time. It was blinking for a short interval. I don't know what that blink was meaning for, but it should have been a 40-second flash for a red light. It wasn't. But this detector, it got me good for 5 years when I installed this back in 2020. So I'm going to replace this one with a new First Alert replacement smoke detector. And I have other smoke detectors around the house that's already just got replaced to smoke and carbon monoxide talking alarm. So I'm going to replace this one that happens to be the older detectors that we used to happen to have around the house before those ones went out to its end of life on the smoke detector. So we're going to replace this detector with a new one. This detector, they no longer make this anymore, so I'm going to replace it with a First Alert standard smoke alarm, because I have other smoke detectors around the house that's all hardwired in the circuit for a smoke and seal detectors. And for this one, I'm going to just go with a standard smoke alarm for the bedrooms that I happen to have. Let's get into replacing this smoke alarm. And also the next step, turn off this breaker right here that goes to the bedroom. You can see that the smoke detector green indicator AC power light is out. As you can tell, I just turned the breaker off. So let's remove this smoke alarm off the mounting base of the ceiling. Or yours may be in the wall, so this one happens to be in the ceiling. So you just twist it and it should come off. You can see there's the harness connector for the smoke alarm. So we're going to remove that. It's hard to do it with one hand. Just be very careful when removing this, even if you're on the ladder. So you can see I just got it off the wiring harness that connects through the back of the smoke alarm. And you can see the smoke detector happens to be from 2016, which is about 9 years old. So I had a good reason in replacing it early before this one hits the end of life, which it already did. I don't know how long this has happened for the issue of this, because the smoke detector got me good for 5 years. It has been working since 2020 when I got it. Since I thought this was a new detector, that was going to be straight out of it being from 2019, which was 6 years, or thought it was going to be something fairly newer, but this one happened to be new in the box since I got this. We're going to remove this mounting plate. It's always best to make sure that the power is turned off before you attempt to replace your smoke detectors. And some smoke detectors, when you buy replacements, they come with this harness plug adapters. You can just plug straight into this harness so you don't have to replace the wire. But for this one, I'm going to actually change it with a new plug harness, so I don't have to worry about putting too much wires into the junction box, because one of the junction box of mine is happened to be smaller. It's just a small electrical junction box for the wirings that connect for the hard wiring of the smoke detectors. And this one happens to be not interconnected. It's just running on AC power from the hard wiring circuit to the house of where it's running from the power of the breakers. So this one, we're going to replace the harness and the mounting plate. So I'm going to remove that. not completely out, you just need to loosen it a little so you can get the mounting plate out. And let's replace the actual pigtail wire connector. And you guys can tell that the power is off from the electrical wiring. Make sure you turn the power off before you change your wiring pigtail. Just need to remove the hot wire. And you just need to get your new pigtail harness and connect it to the hot wire. Make sure it's completely snug into the wiring connector and do the neutral. And there you go. Just remove this pigtail wire and connect the neutral. And connect the neutral wire, which is the white wire. And you're all done. And you can see this orange wire, or some happen to have a red wire, which is the interconnecting wire. So this junction box does not have an interconnecting wire, which goes in all series for all interconnecting smoke detectors. All it is just running on AC power. So we don't have it interconnected to any of the rooms. So this is there for just in case you guys have one that has an interconnecting wire. So you should just be all set to go if you happen to have wiring just like what I have. And all the houses, of course, have it in the same configuration. So this means that it's not all interconnected, unless if yours is, just easy. Connect this wiring to your connectors. If you see one happen to be in your junction box, if you found earlier ago when you were removing your detector and you saw you have an interconnecting wire, simple, just connect it with it. And always read your user's manual. If you're not sure about the wiring configurations, always make sure before you replace it. But if yours is just a simple one, just like mine's, it's simple, easy to do. So let's get the new mounting plate. Just need to tuck these wires into the junction box. And the orange wire or red wire, wherever you have, honestly, it's not interconnected. If you find to having just two wires that runs the hot and neutral for 120 volts for AC power. So you just need to mount the new mounting plate and you just align it how you like it for your smoke alarm. Once it is aligned, you tie in the mounting screws. And always be careful when using an electric screwdriver, and don't use power drills, because if you use the power drill, you're going to strip those threads in the screws. So it's always best to use a screwdriver, or if you have, like what I have, is a electric screwdriver that makes it much easier than having to manually screw it in. But I decided to use this instead, so it's much more simple and don't have to worry about overdriving the screw into the ceiling. Just gotta make sure you align it how you like it. Once it's in there, I just mounted the new mounting plate, and you can see I just wired in this harness, which comes with everything in the box. So if you guys do not want to do it the way I did it, they came with special adapters you can just plug in to your existing older pigtail wiring, like what I have for this kidde or Firex, whatever model you happen to have. But mine's, I just replaced it with a first alert. So I don't even need the necessary need for this. So if you guys ever need to use one of these, it's pretty simple. Plug it in to your old harness that you happen to have, and then just plug it in to the back of the detector and you're all set. Don't even have to worry about messing with the electrical wiring in there. But it's pretty simple to easily change out these, even if you have very old detectors that happens to have a non-compatible plugs like what these shows too. But this one happens to be for Firex, and the ones for kiddes, which they come with this in the box when you purchase smoke alarms or even smoke and seal detectors. Exactly the same thing. So you can see I just pulled this tab, push the test button. See, it's working. So you just plug it in. And don't forget to hold this plastic locking tab and mount it on the top part of this smoke detector, or even if you have a smoke and seal detector. And always don't forget, always write your installation date and replacement date on when you should replace your smoke detector. And you see I just plugged in the harness, and that's all you have to do. Just make sure you get the wires into the junction and align it. And you see when you twist it, it can't come out. So there's a locking tab for this smoke detector for these First Alert brand detectors, even if it's a smoke or seal detector or even a smoke alarm model. So this is pretty simple. So I'm going to go turn on the power, and I'm going to show you the indicator light. We're going to turn back on the circuit breaker to the bedroom upstairs. You see the green light is illuminated, and we're receiving AC power. If the power goes out, the AC indicator light will turn off, and you're going to just have a normal functioning battery backup smoke detector, which has a latching alarm that has a latching door for the 9-volt battery. And it shows you on the user's manual of everything about the functionality of these detectors. So always read your user's manual if you're not sure what the indicators mean or what the detector is doing with the indicators of going into alarm. And you tell these First Alert smoke and seal detector or even a smoke alarm model has a locking tab, which is plastic. You can see this is the part that's what's locking it and the mounting blades, so you can't get it out. See, that's that part. So you just have to carefully bend it to get it out. Be careful when doing that. But see, you can't get it out. So that explains to why all smoke detectors have this little plastic tab you just put on the top of the detector, and you just put it in there. And once you mount it in the mounting base, you don't have to worry about this thing getting taken down off of the ceiling. So smoke detector just has an easier access to the battery drawer. So if you ever need to change the battery, you can just pull the battery out, swap in the new one, push the test button, and it should reset the detector. To remove this one, you just gotta bend this plastic tab. There you go. So I just bend down this little tab. Just be very careful not to bend it too much, even if you're using a flathead screwdriver. Just use your fingernails or something. Just be very careful not to put too much pressure on it, because you don't want to break this plastic. And you see this? That's the tab that I put in that came from the mounting base. So you just break one out and just pop it in from this detector, and you just pop back in the smoke detector. And always remember, always check your wiring in there, making sure it doesn't get caught on to anything. There you go. So this one happens to be the newer model of the First Alert family. Even also applies with BRK models. This one happens to be the First Alert that I happen to bought. So this one happens to be working so good, no troubles or anything, no false alarms. This one happens to be working as I tested it earlier when I pulled the battery tab out to activate the battery backup. Smoke detector happens to be functioning with no troubles or anything. And this smoke detector happens to be just only running on AC power, not interconnected. So always remember, read your user's manual for specifications on installation, and always remember, check your expiration dates if you're not sure about your smoke detectors. Even if you have smoke detectors like this or other models of detectors, always best to check on the back of the detectors for replacement dates. And some requires you to replace them at 10 years, or even if you suspect your smoke alarm having an end-of-life chirp, that's an indicating signal by what the back of the alarm tells you. If you're not sure, you read your user's manual, or even not just the user's manual, you can also read to the back of the detector if you know your smoke detector about having trouble codes or even chirp codes that tell you the signal, what it means. And if you suspect this being on every 60 minutes of the chirps on what it follows on the back of the detector, and if it says that's an end of life, replace the alarm. Smoke detectors have a feature that will remind you to replace them if it reaches the end of life of their sensing technology on this detector. With this detector, it doesn't have any issues. It's not defective. It's fairly new. It's installed. It's functioning properly like it is, so I don't have any problems with it. As long as you know yours being installed properly, make sure you have yours properly wired. And if you guys are interested in one of these models detectors, to looking towards replacing your old smoke detectors, I'll link in the video description down below so you can get one of these replacements if you need to replace yours. And this one applies to all different models of smoke alarms if you happen to have one, just like what I have. I'll be doing a testing video in the next video of this new First Alert smoke alarms and the other smoke detectors around the house for those smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. And thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider hitting the like button and make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already on this repair channel. And have a great day and stay safe. Bye.